why do I let those questions from well-meaning, I assume, family and friends impact me is part of what I think women our age struggle with.
Absolutely. I could totally identify with that.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning into our second act with Paige and Silka. DeAnn Salcido is back for one more segment with us discussing gray divorce. We'll link to our former segments. And just if you didn't see our former segments, DeAnn is a divorce attorney. She's a former family court judge, and she also is now a divorce coach. Primarily for women, we tend to seek advice in that direction, but you also work with men. Of course, we'll link to all of your information. DeAnn, you brought up a really interesting topic to me that I want to dedicate actually a whole segment to, and that is what divorce, what our life looks like when, I think you called it when the ring comes off, redefining happily ever after. Tell me what you meant by that.
Oh, well, I can just basically share with you when I went through my divorce 2.5, I was about to turn 50. I was convinced that I was going to die a lonely death surrounded by 100 hungry cats. That, I'd be lucky, if I could maybe have a man have breakfast with me at Denny's one day. I just was like, I'm not getting this right. But eventually I did do, the whole learn to love yourself first approach to dating after divorce. And I really didn't care at that point whether I had a significant other in my life because I learned to be happy by myself. So that was critical, obviously, after divorce. You have to first heal, and you have to understand who you are and be comfortable with who you are, obviously, right? But I now am in a happy relationship, and we've been together 4 years, and we met on Tinder, in fact, which I think a lot of people our age found odd at first. I don't know about you.
I don't find it odd because, I met my boyfriend online dating as well. And all that stigma I think has disappeared.
Gone. Yeah, it's gone. And I think it's great because, who wants to go out to the bars at our age, right? We can easily do meet and greets through coffees and get to know someone. And it's a lot easier than going out to the bars and being that person, what are they doing here? So I'm so excited about the online dating. In fact, I give courses on that. I'm giving one soon in San Diego on creating profiles for online dating. But one of the things we were talking about off camera was this whole pressure that if you are happily in a new relationship, are you supposed to be getting married again? And for someone like me, I go back and forth on that. I'm happy with my boyfriend. I want him to propose, but then would I say yes and would I want to get married? Is it really just my ego? Is my ego saying, why doesn't he ask me? Because we're not broken. We're not trying to have children. So why do I let those questions from well-meaning, I assume, family and friends impact me is part of what I think women our age struggle with.
Absolutely. I could totally identify with that because I've been in a very happy relationship for almost 7 years now, and that's it. Well, doesn't he want to get married? So,
right.
I don't want to. No.
Well, that's the thing. When I think about it, I'm like, okay, so let's just say he did. Obviously, I wouldn't mind wearing a ring. I'd love a beautiful ring on my hand, and I think we need to be comfortable saying to ourselves and to our loved ones that I'm not at never and I'm not at today, somewhere between today and not never,
Yeah, exactly. But that's part of what it looks like, redefining happily ever after. No, we don't have to get married. We had that pressure already.
And it's not been a good thing for me. I've been the one paying support. I've been the one cheated on. So the idea of oh, you're in love, you must get married. I think that's an antiquated notion these days. But it doesn't mean I don't struggle with it at times because I'm like, why doesn't he ask me? And I'm a lot better than his ex-wife. Why the hell hasn't he asked me?
It is the ego. Absolutely.
That's the ego. Yeah. And when I recognize it's the ego, then I'm like, okay, bring it down a notch and you're happy. So that's all that matters.
I bet there's a lot of women that can identify with what we're talking about right now.
I'm sure because, I seriously, I know he should. And he says, I think about it, but I'm never going to want to be in a position where I pressure someone. But it's mostly the ego, I think, at this point, because I'm not trying to have children. I don't need him financially. So I think
It's you want to be desired, and I guess that is, or has, especially women our age, that's the ultimate, the ultimate
proof.
thing.
It's
Proof. Thank you.
social proof.
Social proof. That's the
Social
ultimate social proof that you're married, and it's not. That's something that just needs to change.
It really does, because I'm here to tell you, as a former divorce judge, as a divorce attorney, social proof doesn't matter, because that's why we had over 1 million divorces per year in America. Those are marriages. So social proof is not worth the paper it's written on, essentially. That marriage certificate does not guarantee happily ever after. And that's the cold truth.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think I read that in that same article I referenced in an earlier segment, Psychology Today, that just the institution of marriage, especially with our age group, just brings so much more baggage or expectations to it, that if you stay single, it removes that. It was interesting. I'll link to it. But, again, that you just bring extra problems societally imposed that that you don't have if you don't get married. So
yeah, and then don't forget, we talked on the other segment too about how it might impact your retirement ability to collect Social Security, and then if you are in a second or third marriage, you have adult children, they might be wondering, like, why do you have to get married? You're not having kids. And so there's just issues that maybe you don't need to create by getting married.
Yeah, I think the advice here is just really, like what you said, heal for one. So when you're ready for a new relationship, that you don't bring that the old you to the table, because obviously something, in any divorce, it's a 50-50 thing. I mean, there's some people are just real assholes, both men and women, but we all contribute to the failure of a marriage. So work on yourself, really, especially at this time in our life. What do we really want? Really have a good understanding, and who is that? What does our ideal retirement, our ideal relationship look like? And you might be surprised that it shows up.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, seriously, I'm having the time of my life, and I'm living my best life ever. And this is at 54, not married, but I'm living with someone and we're happy. So it's possible. You don't need a ring. You're not defined by your ring finger. Your marital status is overrated. So happiness comes from within.
Yeah, no, absolutely. DeAnn, we are already coming to the end of our segment again. What's a final thought on this that you'd like to leave with our viewers?
If you're dating after a divorce, I just really want to emphasize again that do not define yourself by society's expectations. One person recently taught me, she's a palliative nurse, and that what people regret at the end of their life is not being true to themselves. That's the biggest regret. So if you want a divorce, don't beat yourself up for it. Forgive yourself. And if you got divorced, don't beat yourself. It happened. Just be true to yourself. And that will never, ever be something that you regret.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. DeAnn, thank you so much for joining me. We will link to all of your information. As I mentioned on the top of the segment, DeAnn is a divorce coach. So if you do find yourself struggling, with maybe perhaps starting your life, or maybe you're struggling with the decision to have a divorce or leave a relationship, we'll link to your information, DeAnn, so people can get in touch with you directly. And we'll see you next time on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks for everything.
Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see that little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and you'll be notified every time we release a new video. See you next time.